Kitchen and Catering. We are here at the Hungry Club, and we're just going to do a sound check really quick to make sure that we have sound on this blustery, cold day today. Yep, there we go. Um, Wonderful. So welcome to the Hungry Club. My name is Gladys Harrison. I'm your host. The Hungry Club is presented to you by Black Men United and Big Mama's Kitchen and Catering. And today we have the absolute pleasure of having our guest speaker, Mr. Eric Ewing, who is the executive director of the Great Plains Black History Museum. And I'm really excited to have Eric here and come and tell us all the wonderful things that are going on with the museum. So, Eric, give us, tell us about you first, because a lot of us may not know you personally. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name's Eric Ewing. I'm the executive director at the Great Plains Black History Museum, and I've had the honor of serving in this capacity now for the last 8 years. And probably it's been one of my most rewarding jobs. Again, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, grew up in the community, and left for a few years, about 21 to be exact, and with the intentions never to return, but obviously never say never, because I'm back, and I've been back now for almost 20 years. A little bit about me. I retired military. I served in the Navy for 20 years. My education background, I've got an associate's degree in general studies, an undergraduate degree in workforce education, a master's degree in management, 2 postgraduate certificates, 1 in life coaching, 1 in college teaching, and I currently a dissertation away from a PhD in post-secondary education. Again, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, North Omaha in particular, and I point out this fact because there's nothing special about me, and if I can have the accomplishments that I've been fortunate enough to have, I feel that any and everybody should be able to have those accomplishments. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell right now.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Where'd you go to grade school and high school? You went to Lothrop and to Horace Mann.
Yes.
And then where'd you go to high school?
Northwest.
Really? Now, I ain't trying to be funny, but Northwest ain't been around that long. That's a fairly newer school. You must have been one of the first.
Well, no, actually, I think I went there. I think the school was probably about 8 or 9 years old when I went.
Okay. Yes. And you are in the process of getting your PhD?
Yes, but I've been in the process of doing that for a little while. So
well, that's okay. You are pursuing that. I tell you, so one of the speakers we had earlier in the month, Dr. Orlando Whitfield, you know, she's a doctor, and now we've had a PhD or getting ready to be a PhD as one of our Hungry Club speakers. Well, good luck to you in your endeavors. You were in the Navy. I heard you say, did you retire from the Navy?
Yes,
okay.
20 years.
Big Mama was in the Navy for 4 years. Yes, she certainly was. Tell us a little bit about what you did in the Navy.
Well, I worked in healthcare, and I ran the medical departments on board the smaller ships, and then served in various other capacities whenever I was on shore duties at the hospitals or the clinics in which I worked at.
Okay. Did you go right after high school, or did you go to college first?
No, I went to college first, and then I ended up joining.
Okay. Wow, that is wonderful. So when you got out of the military and retired, did you start another career?
Yes, when I retired, I came back here and I started working at Bellevue University, and then I was there for 5 years as a full-time employee, and I was also an adjunct professor with them, and then I had an opportunity to go and pursue my PhD, and so I resigned and then started pursuing that. Okay. But then I realized that, sometimes we spend all our younger days trying to get out of somewhere, only to realize that, well, that's where God wants you. And I spent, as I said, all my time trying to get out of North Omaha, only to realize that my purpose and true purpose was going to be working in North Omaha. So I started working with the 100 Black Men of Omaha part-time as I was going to school, and then had the opportunity to pursue and become the executive director at the Great Plains Black History Museum. And, you know, that's probably, as I said, it's been one of my most enjoyable jobs, because I feel that I'm doing something to impact the community in a positive way.
You most certainly are. It sounds like education is really important to you.
Oh, yes.
Share a little bit about why. Why do you think education is so important?
Well, it's so important because it, as I tell folks all the time, education provides you freedom. It provides you choices and decisions, you know, where you can, you know, maybe go in for a job interview and then you say, well, no, thank you, versus being told, no, thank you. Because it allows you to pursue and work in the area in which you want to be in. And it also, for me, it was one of those situations where I wasn't even supposed to graduate from high school. So to be able to have the educational accomplishments that I've had, you know, as I tell some folks, I probably would shock some of my prior teachers, you know, and the fact that I've been able to accomplish as much as I've been able to accomplish.
Were you not a good student in school?
It wasn't that I wasn't a good student. It was just that I didn't understand the true value of it. You know, I didn't understand the true value of it until I went to college. You know, and that happened, you know, after I graduated, and you're realizing that your hangout spot is no longer available. You know, the next time you go to your high school, you've got to get a visitor's pass,
right,
because you just can't come on, you know, on campus or come in the building. Right. So, you know, I had to find a new hangout spot. So the new hangout spot was in college. So yes.
Did you go to college here in Omaha?
I started here at UNO.
Okay.
And then I left. I went down in St. Joe, Missouri, to Missouri Western State College, now university. And then I ended up joining the military, and then I finished up my education in the military. I've got my associates from Vincennes University, which is in Indiana, and then I got my undergrad from Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, and then my master's from Bellevue University.
So give us some history for those of us who do not know what the history of the Great Plains Black History Museum, you know, how it came about, why. Can you share a little bit of that history?
Yes,
and I know that you have a PowerPoint presentation. Did you want us to start that too, or?
Well, we'll just be conversating. I think that'll be better. For those who don't know, that the Great Plains Black History Museum was started by Mrs. Bertha Calloway. Next year will be the 50th anniversary of the museum. We originated in the old historic Webster building, which is still standing. It's located right there on 22nd and Lake on the south side of the street. And
that's next to the old Myers funeral home. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and actually even before it served as the Great Plains Black History Museum, it served in various other capacities that was important to the community. It served as the telephone company, and it had some of the first African-American female phone operators in the country working there.
It sure did. Yeah. Yep, I remember hearing stories about that.
Oh, yeah. Served as the YMCA. And
that I didn't know.
Yes. And matter of fact, my dad says the gym was in the basement. And so whenever you were playing basketball there, you had to alter your shot because otherwise you were going to hit the ceiling. It's also served as the Urban League of Omaha, and then serving as the Great Plains Black History Museum. And I was also told that the lower level, the basement area, actually also served as apartments at one time, but I'm not for sure on that one, so yeah.
So Miss Bertha Calloway was a person that originated the museum. Do you know why she started it?
Well, she started, for one, because of the fact that our history wasn't being made available to folks, and we weren't able to see the great things and accomplishments and things that we've done to make America the country it is. So she started that, and it served the community for quite a while. And I know there was a short time where they closed down, unfortunately, and then reopened up, and we actually spent a little time at the Crossroads Mall.
I remember that too. Yes, I surely do. And so, what kinds of things, if we were to come and visit the museum, well, first of all, give us some information like what hours you're open, is there a fee to get in, those kinds of things, and then what we can see when we're there.
Yeah, we're open Wednesdays through Saturdays from 1 to 5. We are free to the public because, as I tell everyone, our goal is to include, not to exclude. And sometimes when you put a cost on something, then you exclude people that you actually want to come into the facility. So we are free to the public, but as I say, we're free to the public. We gladly accept donations and appreciate donations as well. And even though we're open Wednesdays through Saturdays, if there's some time other than those that folks want to come in, we make ourselves available for that as well.
So are they guided tours, or you just kind of go around and visit what you like?
They can be guided. If you like to have a guided tour, you can register online, for an appointment, or if you come in and we don't have any other guests, we then provide a guided tour. The one thing is I tell folks is that we try to change out the exhibits every 2 or 3 months. With this month being Women's Her Story Month, we currently have our exhibit focusing on nationally known African American women as well as locally known African American women.
So when you say you try to change out the exhibits, do you use exhibits that you already have housed there in the museum, or do you get exhibits from across the country?
Well, we've had one Smithsonian exhibit that we had about a little over a year ago, but the other one, the exhibits we create based off of the content that we either have had donated to us or we create exhibits. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, to be exact, we did a HBCU exhibit, and that exhibit was a 13-month exhibit because each month we focused on 8 to 10 of the 107 HBCUs. A couple of years ago, we also did the Divine Nine, focusing on the 9 African-American fraternities and sororities. And we have some seasonal exhibits that we run, such as a League of Our Own, Negro League Baseball, in which we run around the College World Series. We also have an exhibit called the Ahead of Their Time, the DePores Club. We run that exhibit every other year. We have a Night at the Dreamland Ballroom. That exhibit focuses on the Dreamland Ballroom and the other historic jazz facilities or locations that were along the 24th Street corridor.
Tell us a little bit about the Dreamland Ballroom. My mother, I can remember her there as a teenager, and in the beginnings of the restaurant, we used to serve breakfast. We had a lot of our breakfast items that were named after different things in North Omaha, and we had a Dreamland special. So tell us about the Dreamland Ballroom.
Yeah, well, the Dreamland Ballroom had a lot of the jazz greats play. I share with folks when they come in, that the Jazz Museum is down in Kansas City, but we actually have more jazz artists play here in Omaha than Kansas City, and that was because the way the railroad was situated. If you were traveling by rail, whether you're going north, south, east, or west, you were going to have a layover here in Omaha, and because of that layover, if you're in an entertainment place, you're looking for some place to perform.
Yes, and I often wondered why, because my grandfather was a jazz musician, and he was very Elmer Basie Gibbons, and he was very well known, like in Nebraska and Kansas and Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and I can remember him. I don't know who any of these people were because I was a little girl, but he'd have these jam sessions with these musicians who were just passing through, and I often wondered why, out of all the places in Nebraska, Omaha was a little po-buck town, back then, and that's why, because the trains had layovers here. Wow. So that's the Dreamland Ballroom. Tell us what's like the most interesting or least unknown artifact that has a great historical value that you have there at the museum?
Well, I have some posters and pictures of the first African-American film company in America, which was started right here in Omaha, Nebraska.
Really?
Yes.
When? And what was the name of it?
Back in 1915. It was the Lincoln Motion Picture Company, started by the Johnson brothers. The house, it's at 2816 Pratt, still stands today.
2816 Pratt, and the Johnson brothers started a film company where they actually made motion pictures in 1915. Did y'all know that right here in Omaha, Nebraska, in North Omaha, Nebraska, this was the country's first?
Yes.
Really? And you said you have some posters from the films that they made.
Well, yeah, from the films, and then of Noble Johnson, who was also an actor as well. They made a total of 5 movies before they went out of business.
Wow. Do you know if there's copies of those movies anywhere?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I did some guest lecturing up at Creighton last semester, and was working with some students on unsung heroes. And I talked about the Johnson brothers to the class, and one of the students did his project based upon them. And I had been told out of the 5 movies in which they created that there was nothing remaining of any of those films. Well, one of the students did his project on that, and he was able to find a 15-second snippet of one of their movies.
Wow. So if do you have access to that?
It's available online.
Online,
Yes.
okay, on the museum's
YouTube.
website?
No, on YouTube.
On
Yeah,
YouTube.
because we don't own it, so it's out there on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, so if we wanted to watch it, do you know what we would search under?
I think it would be Lincoln Motion Film Company, Johnson Brothers, something along that line.
Lincoln Motion Film Company.
Yes.
Or Johnson Brothers.
Yes, and it's only, like I said, it's only a 15-second clip.
But still, that is historic.
Oh, yes, it is.
It is amazing all of the things that we as a people have done in this country that we don't often hear about.
No.
I have never heard that story at all. Never. Tell us what else? What's another? Who's the most famous person that you have? Like the world would know, or most people in America would know.
Well, we have the Tuskegee Airmen who call Nebraska home. We have the various athletes. When I get out of town guests that visit the museum, we've got athletes from all in the Hall of Fame from all the major sports right here from Omaha. Basically a 20 by 30 block radius.
For those that don't know, give us some names of the ones that you know of.
Bob Gibson.
And he played baseball.
Baseball Hall of Famer.
Yep.
2-time MVP of the World Series.
Give the name, and let's see if I know what sport it was. Okay, we're going to see how much I don't know.
Gale Sayers.
Gale Sayers was a football player.
Yeah, Hall of Famer, youngest player to be inducted into the Football Hall of Fame.
Really? So he's in like the NFL Football Hall of Fame?
Yes.
One?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, Bob Gibson's in the Baseball Hall
Baseball
of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yeah.
Bob Boozer.
Bob Boozer played basketball. Yep.
Basketball Hall of Famer.
So he's in the NBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah, NBA
Wow.
Hall of Famer, NBA champion, Olympic gold medal winner.
So out in Millard, there's a funny street that's named after Bob Boozer. So those of you who didn't know, that funny street out there where Millard is, that's named after Bob Boozer, a famous African American from Omaha.
Yeah.
All right. I'm like 3 for 3 or 4 for 4.
Okay.
Okay, who else?
Let's see, Marlon Briscoe.
That name I don't know.
Well, if you watch the past 2 years Super Bowl games, right? The starting quarterbacks.
All right, I stopped watching football when Colin Kaepernick didn't get back in the NFL. So I haven't watched football in a long time.
Well, he was the one that opened the door for the quarterbacks that played in those Super Bowls. Matter of fact, this year had the Baltimore Ravens won for the first time in NFL history. All 4 starting quarterbacks would have been African American.
What?
But yeah, Marlon Briscoe was the first African American to start at quarterback in the NFL.
And he was from Omaha,
Yes,
Nebraska.
played for the
Wow.
Denver Broncos.
And he played for the Denver Broncos. All right. Any more?
Oh, I'm going to throw one more
All right.
at you. How about Johnny the Jet?
Johnny the Jet Rogers. Yes. He played football too. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Just for Nebraska.
Yes.
Yes.
Heisman Trophy winner as well.
I didn't know he was.
Yes. Matter of fact, as I tell folks, the Great Plains Black History Museum is the only museum you come to in Nebraska where you'll see a Heisman Trophy on display.
And he donated it to the museum.
Well, he allows us to display it.
To
And
display
yes,
it.
whenever he needs it, I get it back to him.
Wow. When did he win? What year was it?
1972.
1972. So in 2002, that was
2022 would have been yeah.
um yeah, this is here go there we go. A wonderful experience for us as to why we should check all the microphones and batteries and everything before we start. Okay, so we were saying that Johnny the Jet Rogers, he got, that's like 50-some years, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yes.
And then also, too, we can't forget pound for pound best boxer in the world, Terrence Bud Crawford.
Terrence Bud Crawford, you are exactly right. Wow. What about exhibits for what famous women do you have artifacts for?
Well, I've got photos of Miss Betty Shabazz. Matter of fact, she visited the museum back when it was in the old Webster building.
Yes, that would be Malcolm
X's
wife.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Who else?
We have photos of some of the jazz performers that played here in Omaha. Now, in some cases, you come to the museum, but you may not see those artifacts on display.
Right.
Because we run some of them seasonally,
Yes.
and they actually we make sure that they're telling a story. We don't just randomly put things on display.
So how do people come and bring you things and say, here, put this in the museum?
Yeah, people make donations to the museum, and then we thank them for those donations, and then we try to incorporate them into other exhibits to help kind of tell our story. And then if they can't, we still maintain them. So then that way, once we have the things that we'll be able to group that with, and we add that to that particular exhibit.
Now, you said the museum is free, that you don't have to pay to get in. So I would assume that means that you are a nonprofit.
Yes, we are.
So how can people go and donate if we wanted to donate to the museum?
Well, if you want to donate to the museum, you can go to our website, which is gpblackhistorymuseum.org.
Okay.
And then there's a donation button right there, and you can do a monthly donation, like some folks that I know, or you can do a one-time donation. Also, you can get a membership, which helps us. And as I tell everyone right now, the location we're at, again, we're in the old historic Jill building, but we are in the process of starting to work on a capital campaign to build a new 21,000 square foot facility that'll be right next door to the old museum, and to be able to better serve the community.
Congratulations. So there's going to be a new building,
Yes.
and it's going to be to the north end of where, so that's the old showcase lounge.
Well, right next door to it. There's 3 empty lots.
Okay. Wow. When is that going to start?
Well, we're hoping to break ground later on this year.
Yes.
If not earlier next year.
Congratulations. So how do you keep the artifacts that you have? How do you take care of them? How do you keep them from the dust, mold, normal wear and tear, and then who does that?
Well, we have storage place within the building, and then we also have an off-site temperature-controlled storage space where we keep some things. And we've been fortunate enough to have worked out, and we've gotten a grant with UNO library, and they're in the process of archiving or cataloging some of our archives as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so, if I wanted to be a volunteer at the museum, do you have volunteer opportunities?
Oh yes, we definitely do, and we set those up to where a person can come in, and we train them to be a docent. That's the fancy word for a tour guide. And we also have folks that if they have ideas on kind of exhibits that we might want to create, and then I can use them as researchers to find information and things like that. Because as I said, with our HBCU exhibit that required research, and the Divine Nine exhibit required research, and then last year as well, we had the Black homesteaders throughout the Great Plains, which also required research, so folks can help in that way as well.
So if I had an idea for an exhibit that I would like to do, I could come and propose that to you?
Yeah. And what we try to do is we try to look at things from the macro, from the big, how it impacted America, and then we also then try to tie in our role within that particular thing. Next year, the Durham Museum will be hosting the bigger Green Book exhibit, and while they'll be talking about the Green Book from the macro, or from the across America perspective, we're actually going to then capture the Green Book and its effect here in Nebraska.
Yes. So for those of us that don't know, tell us what the Green Book is.
Yeah. Well, the Green Book was the Green Book, Negro Green Book of travel. It was used during Jim Crow era for African Americans that were traveling across the country. It provided them places where they could go, where they would be welcome, and they could spend the night there or whatnot. A lot of the spots that they had weren't necessarily hotels, but they were more or less like people's homes. And I joke with folks that we're responsible for Airbnb, because we were Airbnb, and before it was that.
It had to be Airbnb. Yes. So there's stories that I hear in my family. On my mother's side of the family, there was an aunt. Her name was Parthena, and she had one of these homes, and people knew that if you were traveling through Omaha, Nebraska, you could go to Parthena's house and get a room, also get fed, and they had music in there. Musicians hung out and everything. So you are exactly right. We did kind of invent the Airbnb before there was an Airbnb. And even just you saying that, I mean, that was a way for us to create revenue in our communities. And it makes me think about, the times that we are living in now. And this is a conversation that you and I had when you were here. And I'm like, hey, you should come be a Hungry Club guest. Where we're really going to have to get back to supporting the businesses that are in our community if we want them to be here. It's always been important, but now I think it's extremely important for us to support not just the businesses but the nonprofits that we have in our community.
Well, yeah, support the nonprofits, but we need more for-profit entities as well. One thing I say, it's unfortunate in a lot of your urban communities, there areas of used to be. We used to have this, we used to have that, and it's unfortunate that we don't have the businesses that we had. I think when I was here and we were talking as well, I had mentioned the amount of businesses that were along the 24th Street corridor, where at one time there were over 400 plus black-owned businesses. And now it's unfortunate that those businesses no longer exist, and it's not allowing the dollar to circulate in the community, so therefore refueling the community.
And that's one of the reasons why for like last month for Black History Month, the Hungry Club featured various businesses in the community to give them some exposure. And one of the other things that you and I had talked about was how sometimes we think, well, I don't have the money to support this organization, or I don't have the money to go to this business, because I'm not a wealthy person. And the power of what we can do collectively as a people is huge. So last night, well, for a couple of years, I have been beating the drum of if we can get, there's like 67,000 African Americans that live in Douglas County, according to the numbers that I pulled yesterday from the 2020 census. 67,000 African Americans in Douglas County. And if we could get 10% of that 67,000, which would be 6,700 people, to donate or, to spend a minimum of just $50 in an African American owned business in Douglas County for 12 months. It's like almost $5 million that will get injected into the community. And that's just with a tenth of us, $4 million. We add a lot of money to this economy, and it's really time for us to start thinking about and putting some purpose and intention into where we spend our dollars. And, no, I may not be a person that can donate thousands of dollars to the Black History Museum, but if 100 of us get together, and donate $10 a month, that's what, $10,000? Yeah, it makes a huge. What could you do with $10,000 a month?
I can create some new exhibits. I could pay our lease, and create more presentations for the community.
And if you got $10,000 a month for a year, for a couple of years, I would imagine you might be able to create a job or two too.
Oh, most
yes.
Definitely.
Yes, it doesn't take a lot, y'all. It does not. We just have to rethink how we do things and get a new mind about how we spend our money and where we spend our money. So let's talk about what's coming for the museum. You did say that there's going to be a new building. What other great things, new things can we see for the future for the museum?
Well, with that new building, it's also somebody's got to work there, so it's going to be a job creator. We're going to hopefully we're looking to add on anywhere from 20 to 25 additional employees, and we're talking C-suite, and then we're talking entry-level folks as well.
What do you mean C-suite? For those of us that don't know,
for those higher wage, higher paying positions, to where you can start creating maybe some of that generational wealth.
Yes, I love that.
And then also opportunities for students that are, looking to maybe get into the world of museums, an opportunity for them to intern and spend some time as well working in there. And so, and I know right now what we're working on, I went down to Tulsa back in October of last year, and they did a project called Black History Saturdays. And we've incorporated Black History Saturdays where the second Saturday of each month we're having presentations based upon Black history, and we've been able to secure a spot at the Learning Center down there on 24th Street. And our first one will be this Saturday, and it'll be at 11:30 to 12:30. And the topic, I think, Mrs. Terry Sanders will be facilitating the conversation that day. And so we've got it planned out for the whole rest of the year, where we'll have different individuals talking about various subject matters that pertain to African American history.
So starting this Saturday,
yes, ma'am,
you can go to a Black History class that's presented by the Great Plains Black History Museum, and the class is free.
Yes.
And it's once a month?
Yes, the second Saturday each month, and we've been fortunate enough to have Mutual of Omaha as the sponsor.
Yes. Okay, so the second Saturday of every month, and is it always at the Learning Center off of 24th and
yes.
What is that?
It's right a block north of 24th and Hamilton.
And do we have to register, or do we just show up?
You can come, and the subject matter might be appropriate for teenagers to adulthood.
Okay, all right. So maybe like middle schoolers and up?
Yes.
Middle schoolers and up, there's a free opportunity for you and your parents to come and learn. And is it Black History specific to Omaha?
A mixture of
Mixture of both. A mixture of both.
Yes.
What a wonderful idea. And we got to visit, too, the place in Tulsa that you went to, and I was just thinking the same thing. Wow, we really need to have this in Omaha, and here the Great Plains Black History Museum has started it. And again, it doesn't cost you anything. This Saturday at 11:30, right?
Yes, ma'am.
At the Learning Center down here on 24th in Hamilton. If we went to the Great Plains Black History Museum's website, can we get more information about the Saturday Black History classes?
There'll be more information on there. Unfortunately, not until next week because I've got my
Okay.
my
All right.
my web person.
But it's something to look for. Next week, you get some more information about the history class. That is awesome. What if you're going to have the same teacher all the time,
No.
or can people volunteer to come and teach a
Well,
class?
well, for this year, we've already selected the individuals that would be presenting. But going forward, if there's a subject, that someone is an expert in, we'll be reaching out to those individuals. And so I'm trying to think of some of the other presenters. I know we're going to have a presentation on, we've got Native Omaha Days coming up. And some people celebrate this every other year when it happens, but we're kind of wondering how many know the history. And so that's what we're going to cover and talk about that. And that'll be, I think, a couple of Saturdays before Native Omaha Days kick off.
That's a great idea. Why is it important for us to know about the history of Black people in Omaha? Why is it important?
Well, I think when you learn about the greatness of you, when you know about those things, you start looking at yourself differently, and when you can have that level of pride and accomplishments, when you do good, you start to feel good, and when you start to feel good, then you start to achieve the goals that you're capable of doing. You go from having the potential to reaching your potential. Because one thing I've learned over time is when someone tells you, "Oh, you have so much potential," truly what they're telling you is that you're not reaching your full potential.
What else would you like us to know about the museum? Is there anything else you'd like us to know, any information you'd like us to share with us about the museum?
Yeah, well, that the only way we can stay in existence is through guests through the door.
Yep.
And as I tell everybody, I make it easy for you because it doesn't cost you anything to come through the door.
Mm-hmm.
But what I guarantee you, when you walk out the door, you'll walk out the door with more knowledge than you came in the door with.
Yeah. And what I hear you saying is that it's important for us to support the museum. I'm sure that there's reporting that you have to do, how many people came to the museum, and those things are important because if we don't utilize the resources that are available in our community, we can certainly lose them. Well, you for sure are going to see myself. It's been a very, very, very long time since I've been to the museum, but my grandson likes museums, and so does my daughter. So you'll definitely see us at the museum sometime. And Big Mamas, we've been supporters of the museum, and we will continue to be supporters of the museum. If we needed to call the museum to get information, what's the phone number, the address, and the website one more time?
Okay. Well, our address is 2221. I'll wait a little bit because somebody may have to grab a pen or a piece of paper.
Yep, good idea.
2221 North 24th Street, in the historic Jewel Building We're right across the street from the Omaha Star, right there on the corner. We are open again Wednesdays through Saturdays from 1 to 5. You can go to our website. Our website is G as in great, P as in plains, blackhistorymuseum.org.
And phone number?
Phone number is area code 402-932-7077.
And does the History Museum have any social media sites like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, those kind of things?
Yeah, we're on Facebook, and it's Great Plains Black History Museum. And then we're on LinkedIn, and basically the same, Great Plains Black History Museum. Unfortunately, right now we don't have a Twitter handle or a Twitter page or anything like that, because that requires time. And
I understand.
I'm 1.5 person.
Understand.
Running the show.
When did you said the museum opened in 1970?
76.
All right. And there was a period that it was closed, though, right?
Yes.
What was the period that the museum was closed?
It would have been in the late 90s. And then we were closed until I want to say about 2010 or 12.
Okay.
I came on board in 2017, as I said earlier, when we were out at the Crossroads Mall.
Yep.
And I always point out, when I started in 2017, excuse me, that year we had a little over 2,500 interactions. The last 3 years, each year individually, we've had almost 13,000.
Wow, that is awesome. So what are other ways that we can support as a community, besides our donations, besides visiting the museum? What other ways can we support the museum and what you guys do there?
Spread the word. Invite us to come in and give presentations. Schedule organizational trips to the museum. We also do lunch and learns. So if you're a bigger company and you'd like to have a subject matter talked about when it pertains to Black history, we can do that virtually as well.
I love that idea. So if you're a business or an organization, you can come and schedule a visit with your work group to the museum. That is an awesome idea. Well, Mr. Ewing, I want to thank you for being our speaker today. I have learned so much. If no one's told you thank you for what you do at the museum, you and your staff, thank you for keeping Black history alive here in North Omaha. I was definitely keeping the museum in my prayers that you guys will be successful. Good luck to you on your new endeavors with the new building. And was there any final words that you have for our folks that are watching?
No, just come and visit us. We're happy to be of service.
Well, thank you. So again, thank you to my guest, Eric Ewing. He is the executive director of the Great Plains Black History Museum that's located right here in Omaha, Nebraska. You can visit the museum Wednesday through Saturday from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. It is absolutely free to visit. You can also make donations to the museum. You can volunteer at the museum. There's all kinds of ways for you to engage at the museum. I'd like to thank the sponsor of the Hungry Club, Big Mama's Kitchen and Catering. Remember that Big Mama's, we are open from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. Big Mama, we also cater. If you don't live in Omaha, Nebraska, and you can't come and eat at Big Mama's, you can go online to our website, bigmamaskitchen.com, and you can buy the seasonings that we use to oven fry our chicken. Our no-salt seasoning, which is a staple of many of the dishes that we create. You can order these and cook at home just like Big Mama's. Our cornbread mix, which has been our family for over 100 years. My grandmother Lily, we still make the cornbread like she did. Or our fried green tomato mix, which can also be used as a fish fry. There are many ways for you to support us. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in today. This has been the Hungry Club at Big Mama's Kitchen and Catering. Thank you to our other sponsor, Black Men United. We'll be back again next month. We had been here every week since the beginning of February because it was Black History Month. We'll go back to our once-a-month schedule. So we'll be here the first part of April. We are sending out invitations to those that are running for mayor and candidates for city council for the seats that are in North Omaha. The primary election is on the 1st, which is a Tuesday. It's April 1st. And so we've sent out invitations, and hopefully those that made it through the primary will come and be speakers here at the Hungry Club so that we can get another opportunity to know the folks that want to represent us. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. This has been the Hungry Club at Big Mama's Kitchen and Catering. God bless you and have a great day.